Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. I'm here to talk to you about the latest episode of Gotham Knights. It was called Bad to Be Good. And as it begins, a thief shows up to steal $1 million painting from Gotham City Hall, which looks suspiciously like the Central City PD lobby, and then deliberately waits for the security guards before kicking their asses mercilessly, after which they escape up a rope line. Harvey shows up at Lincoln's bedside, Lincoln being his opponent in the mayoral race and the husband of his mistress, where said mistress, Rebecca, while being genuinely distraught over her husband's condition, is also verklempt over the fact that she could have lost Harvey as well in the attack. Duella, meanwhile, kidnaps the Talon's daughter, whom I guess she thinks can help her figure out how the Talons seem to be immortal, much to Carrie's dismay when Carrie figures out what's going on. Stephanie uncovers the fact that every painting that's been stolen by the art thief used to be owned by Alan Wayne, causing she, Turner, and the twins to decide to catch this thief, which they do whilst fully embracing their public-assigned Gotham Knights moniker. At his office, while working, Harvey has a flashback to when Lincoln was attacked and he was almost killed, when he gets a call from Rebecca, who is panicking, thinking that she's being watched by someone with ill intent. So Harvey says he's going to head over to her place. Harper, meanwhile, goes to visit her mob boss or mob figure X at a bar that looks suspiciously like the one in The Flash. And he doesn't want to have anything to do with her, but she says that she needs his help. Duella and Carrie, meanwhile, are interrogating the old lady, and when she doesn't come across, Duella starts messing with her oxygen. But Carrie stops her and tells the old lady she'll go get her music box and give it back to her on the hopes that the old lady will talk with them. The team figures out that there's a painting in storage at a particular warehouse that the thief is likely going to go after next, so they decide to catch them in the act. And when they do, the thief starts shooting at them and actually hits Harper. Fortunately, Turner is able to nail the thief with a not batarang, and then they find out that the art thief is in fact the super cop that was brought in by the city to stop the art thief, which is herself. Upon getting her music box back, the old lady tells Carrie and Duella about having attended lavish Court of Owls galas when she was young, at least until her father was condemned for being the Butcher of Gotham. She goes on to explain that the Talon kept him from dying during his hanging, and then kept him alive by imbuing him with various substances in exchange for him being their servant. And it turns out that the court is trying to find more of those substances since the previously available supply has dried up since they last used it on him. Harvey traces a call that comes into Rebecca's place, and it turns out to be owned by a woman that her husband's been sleeping with. So there's apparently a bunch of sleeping around going on in Gotham. Anyway, it turns out that the cop who's been stealing the art has been doing so because the court kidnapped her family and threatened to harm them if she didn't steal the art for them, which apparently they figured she'd be able to do because her specialty is catching art thieves and art theft. So there you go. With the cop unable to walk because Turner wounded her, Turner says he and the gang will get the painting so that she can bring it to the Court of Owls to save her family. While this is going on, the old lady distracts Duella and then attacks her and manages to get something wrapped around her throat when Carrie goes to get the old lady some water. Fortunately, Carrie returns in time to save Duella. Harvey and Rebecca get up close and personal while waiting for a GCPD car to come and take her to her husband. The Knights literally blow the door off the warehouse and then have about 60 seconds to get to the painting before the alarm goes off, and then, of course, little time to escape. And they manage to pull it off with Harper as the wheelman after Stephanie patched up her wound. The Knights get a drop-off location for the painting from the court on a burner phone that they had given the cop, and they take the painting to the location because they don't want the court to kill the cop's family. When they get there, the court representative who takes the painting from them scratches some of the paint off and then proclaims that it's real before he orders his people to kill the cop's family and the Knights, which the Knights reacted to by showing him that they have the old lady, who they know the court will want to keep safe so that the Talon doesn't come after them for their role in her being killed, resulting in the Knights being able to successfully trade her for the cop's family. Back at the tower, Stephanie double-checks Harper's gunshot wound, and it seems to me like they're starting to like each other, like each other. which is interesting because, yeah, we know that Harper likes girls, but as far as we know, up to now, Stephanie likes boys. So I don't know what's happening there. Anyway, during some pillow talk, Harvey is convinced that because the people of Gotham once elected the Penguin mayor, they'll elect him as mayor too, even if he takes up with his opponent's widow right after the husband dies, assuming that he dies. But then Rebecca gets a call saying that her husband is awake. The cop is reunited with her family and she thanks the Gotham Knights on TV for saving them. When Duella and Carrie muse about what happened to them on their little adventure with the old lady and take another look at the lady's music box, they find a secret compartment holding pictures of the masked Court of Owls from decades ago. Cressida shows up at Harvey's office to ask for his help because her life has been threatened by the court, and she tells him that she knows what they're up to. Right before the episode ends, we see that the court has gotten all the paintings together in a room, put them up on easels in a circle, and then lights them on fire, which apparently they do because the fire reveals something under the paintings, which looks like some kind of map of the city. So that's where the episode ended. This show continues to get bashed on YouTube and the internet, and I really don't understand it. You know, it's no Superman and Lois, okay? It's not a fantastic show. It's very simplistic by comparison to a much better show that's, much deeper in the writing than this show is. This show is very surface, but there is a well told story unfolding in the episode. The characters are likable. I continue to love Duella. Even Cullen is growing on me. Are some aspects of it a little hokey? Yeah, I mean, the part where they break into the warehouse by blowing the door off and then are hiding out from the security guards while carrying a giant painting in a frame around the building, yeah, that's a little hokey. But, today shows like The Fall Guy, you remember that one? The A-Team, Knight Rider are all beloved classics. And those shows could not have been hokier. Like, so hokey. But we loved them then, we love them now. And this show is just as good as those shows were. Is it The Sopranos? No, it's not even Superman and Lois. It's not Game of Thrones seasons 1 through 6, but it's a decent show. I like the relationships between the characters and how they're growing and how the characters are changing individually. I like the whole story of the Court of Owls. I like how the Gotham Knights are becoming a thing in the city and, are celebrated, and how they continue to, be building a reputation of doing good things in the city. So I think it's good. I realize that the quality level is different from the quality level of super duper quality shows, but it doesn't make it trash. Maybe it's a 6 out of 10 instead of a 9 or a 10, but that doesn't make it garbage or awful. It just makes it an okay show. And it really bothers me that people shit on it all over YouTube, all over the internet, Rotten Tomatoes. It's just not fair because it's a decent show. I mean, the part where Harper goes to visit her ex, who's in the mob, and apparently they were dating, and he's all kind of like skeeved out by her appearance because, oh, you stole all the money and I'm in trouble with the mob. I had to go in to, counseling, and he acts very wienerishly, and I was like, really? And then I thought about it for a second, like, wait a minute, these are like high school kids, 17, 18, 19. Has he really been in the mob for years, like while he was in school? I mean, I guess if your family is a crime family, you live with it and you're kind of around it on the peripheral. But and I guess as soon as he turned 17 or 18, he got in it on his own in his own right. But I don't know. I found that a little weird because it's a scenario that the way they depicted it, they're having had a relationship and all that stuff that you would normally see with adult characters well into adulthood, and they're not well into adulthood. So it's a little weird. And the characters sometimes have adult level knowledge that you wouldn't expect them to have. So it's a little, you kind of look at it with side eye and go, really? But it doesn't make the show horrible. Keep in mind, this is based on a comic book. And the Gotham Knights are young people in the comic book, and they have a lot of knowledge and abilities and skills in the comic book. So it's not any more hokey than the source material in that regard, it seems to me. So I don't know. I don't think people should be saying that it's horrible. If you want to say it's low level quality or lower level quality than the best shows, you can say that. That's a fair critique. It's a fair assessment. But to call it garbage and say it's awful, that's just not accurate. That's just not accurate. It's a decent show. The old lady in this episode is hilarious. And, the whole good cop, bad cop thing between Duella and Carrie was awesome. So, I just think this is a decent show. And I hope it gets a second season, but we'll have to see. I'm going to get out of here for now. I'll be back to review the next episode once it airs. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.